It has been a long time since you've been in this chair.
It has. It's been a bit.
I don't know if you know, but I've been keeping the podcast running for a couple months
Good for
without
you.
you. I basically use it to call my friends up and ask if they want to hang out and chat for a bit. But you've been busy, which is why you haven't been on the show in a little bit. And this will be our last one, our last episode for the year. So I wanted to make sure that we had you back on and talk about some things that have been going on, because you've been really, really busy.
I have been. It's been a very busy past, 3-4 months of the year.
Yeah. You're doing, and you've been doing this throughout the year, but for our kids' school, you're the chair for the Academy Parent Group.
Yes.
You're also room mom for both of our kids' classrooms.
Yep. Kindergarten and second grade.
Yeah. So that's been keeping you busy. But then on the more professional side, you've been doing South Lake leadership. How's that been?
That's been amazing. That program, I recommend it. And you're going to do it next year.
I am. Yep.
So it is so fun. I've learned a lot just about really South Lake, the community. And then we have a really good group. And so we have a lot of fun. It's great.
Yeah, that's terrific. And thanks to, Bill Tate for encouraging you along that. That's been great to have a friend and mentor like that.
Bill is wonderful. Bill Tate, State Farm.
Yeah. Picturing the cowboy
You'll like
hat
that
right
plug.
now. Yeah. And then you were both of us, we were in Houston recently because you won one of the Sam Houston 79 awards for one of the fastest growing Bearcat owned businesses. So how did that feel?
That was incredible. It was just, for one, going back to Houston, you and I think I've been back a couple of times, but I don't think you've been back.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. So going into Houston was just very nostalgic. And then also like being in a room full of Bearcats, it's been, I guess it's been 14 years, yikes, since I've graduated college. And so it was just really full circle to win that award. And then, of course, my mom came, and so it was good to see her. And it was just a really fun day for sure.
Yeah. And then I've had some changes this year, too.
Yes.
I resigned from my career of 16 years.
Yep.
And joined Neighbor full time, running the operations side of things. So that's been a big change this year, and a great one for sure. It comes with some challenges too. I think you and I have had to learn, like we've always worked together, like on the business. But I think for me, one of the things this year was learning how to do that full time with you.
Yeah.
Like our communication, like we learned, I think, a lot about our different communication styles. It's one thing when we're communicating after hours and figuring out plans and strategies and things like that. But then during the day, actually sitting in the office with you and figuring things out, it's been a fun challenge, but it's fun to learn new things and new ways that you and I can interact.
Yeah.
And then on top of all that, we've got something that probably by the time this episode comes out, we'll have announced, but we've been working with Mallard Agency on something that's really, really exciting. I mean, I wish we could just go ahead and say it now, but they've been phenomenal to work with, but that's been several months in the works.
Yeah, they're amazing. Amazing team.
Yeah, Sean and Mackenzie and Jordan, all of them over there at Mallard, the whole team that Sean has assembled, it's been just, as a client of theirs, the experience alone has been awesome. But that's been occupying some time for the past several months as we get that off the ground with them.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of all of that, you've been doing some design.
I have in my spare time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has. This year has been a year of growth, and we've been so busy. So busy in all aspects of our life and in our business. Yeah,
it's a blessing for sure.
Yeah.
This year was kind of unique in that we had three good sized projects in terms of scope of work that all completed this year and were photographed this year, which that's not necessarily common across the board.
No.
But for our design firm this year, we happen to have 3 huge projects that all got photographed, starting with Modern Coastal. That one we teased a lot on social media during the construction phase. That was a custom home in South Lake. And as we started to tease the behind the scenes and the things that were going on with that build, it seemed to be really popular with folks. And then when we finally got to release the photos, it was phenomenal. So let's talk a little bit about that project, because it was such an immense project and a big undertaking. But I'm curious, in your words, what was the challenge with that project? What was the overall design goal? And then how did you achieve that?
Yeah, so that was one of the Modern Coastal was or is one of the first big projects that we did after we moved to DFW. And so it's always like just very special to me. It's a new construction custom home in South Lake. And the challenge with that project was our clients, they have another home in 30A, which is in Florida. And they just love that whole atmosphere with the beach and the laid back vibe and just everything that goes along with a beach. However, they were building a very modern home in South Lake. And so as their design team, we had the unique challenge of merging those two things together, because we didn't want it to look like they built a beach home in South Lake. And so, however, we wanted to give an ode to that. And so just merging those two styles was challenging, but we had so much fun. I love the beach. I know you like the beach too. And so it was a very easy aesthetic for us to understand and bring to life, but in a modern way.
Okay. If someone looks at that project on our portfolio and is like, I like that look, I want to try to do something like that in my home, where would you recommend they start?
I would start with your color palette. We were very easy breezy with the color palette. It was a lot of whites and creams and neutrals and, the white oak floor, the really wide plank white oak floor. And then we, of course, brought in the blues, but it wasn't really a pale blue. We went really deep, very saturated navy, which kind of gave it that edge, that modern look that they were looking for. And then we brought in blacks and polished nickels to give it that shiny, more modern look with the soft palette.
Yeah, and that fireplace, talking about the deep blue, what paint color is that?
Oh my gosh, now you're putting me on the spot. I don't remember the exact paint color. I believe it was from Benjamin Moore, but that fireplace evolved. So it originally was supposed to be a plastered, like just a smooth plastered fireplace. And then as the home was being built, we kept evaluating and looking at it and really understanding how large that living room and kitchen area was and how large that fireplace was actually going to be. And so we came up with the idea to make it a fluted plaster. And so then once we solidified that, then it was the paint color. And we went back and forth on if it was going to be neutral or blue. And we just kept going back and forth and after samples. And this is with the client because they were, not sure either. And then finally we're like, we're just going to go for it and do it. And it turned out great.
Yeah. I mean, the fluted kind of gives that scallop look to it. And especially with the deep blue, I mean, that is like a piece of art in the middle of that great room.
And then the cast stone fireplace that went around. And that was another thing. We were like, do we do a gray or a white? And so it evolved and it was truly a collaboration with the client, and they love it. It turned out really, really great. It's one of my favorite fireplaces that we've ever done.
Yeah. And then on top of that, shortly after we got to photograph that, we were wrapping up Organic Modern.
Yes.
Talk about that project, how that came to be and what your goal was with that, because that one has been another one that we continue to hear lots of feedback from our audience on.
Yes, we hear so much about Organic Modern, and that project is so special to us. So it was a renovation, and our clients were already underway with the renovation side of it. They purchased a home in Grapevine on acreage. And I think they were, at the point that they reached out to us, they were down to the studs in the home. And they brought us on to furnish the entire home for them and to give them advice on all the paint colors. So from the walls to the cabinetry that was going to be painted, just help them come up with all the colors for all their girls' bed. They had 4 girls. And so it was just such a sweet project because not only did we get to design in the style that we're really known for, which is that Organic Modern, we also got to design 4 different girls' bedrooms. And so we laugh in our office about it because we do design these beautiful homes and we're presenting them to the clients. And there's always a little bit of nervousness with that because we're like, gosh, we hope we really nailed it. We hope we really brought the vision to life.
Sure.
And so we're nervous, but, we're confident. But man, those girls, we presented to the girls, each one. And Lauren and I were like, this is nerve-wracking.
It was more nerve-wracking to present
Yes,
to the kids.
It was.
Than their parents.
The girls were intense. And so, but we had such a good time. We had so much fun. And that home just turned out so beautiful. And it had its unique challenges. One of the biggest challenges was just the timeline. Our clients were displaced during the renovation, and so they wanted all the furniture to come in at a certain time.
Sure.
And they actually ended up moving into the home while it was still under construction, which was like a whole nother deal. And, we're bringing furniture into a construction zone, and there was a lot of like those challenges that we had to overcome. But ultimately, the photos, even then the photo shoot, we talked about it with Sarah Linden.
Right.
When we took the photos, it was like a hurricane outside and it was just, it was storming. We had no electricity. There was just so many challenges, but you can't tell in these photos behind you and behind me that like it was a storm outside that day.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is looking at any of these photos, there's a lot that goes into getting to this point and having a design team that can work with the client and understand what their cares and concerns are. Like that's one of the things I've enjoyed about this year and with these projects is being able to make sure we're good stewards of what they're wanting and delivering something that is, photo worthy. For someone who likes this look, you mentioned color palette with Modern Coastal. This is a completely different color palette. Mm-hmm. For someone who wants this kind of look, where would you recommend they start? Is it with color palette first, or is it different materials that you'd recommend?
I would say for this style, it was more based on the materials. Being like an organic aesthetic, I knew right away it had to be neutrals, and that's what the client wanted. They wanted a lot of neutrals minus their girls' bedrooms, which were a lot of pinks. So it really was the materials. I knew that we needed to bring in, a mix of the organic shapes, so like the curves and the arches and that kind of stuff. But then we needed to kind of make it a little bit more sharp to bring in that modern piece. And so really just blending those two styles together, which is kind of like what we did on Modern Coastal. It's like blending and merging the styles to make it super unique. So focusing on the forms and then also the materials, the woods, the natural colors, and then like the console table that's in their entry, it's a mix of metal and wood. And so just kind of mixing materials in an interesting way that kind of brings that style together.
Yeah. And I learned a lot from watching you on this project because obviously I'm not a designer, but I always figured you worked with like colors and textures because it adds layer and depth. But with this project, like you just mentioned, I never really considered how much shape matters. Like, and this probably isn't news to you. Like, this is something that's like an epiphany for me. But for listeners who are wanting to achieve that's the thing that stands out to me, is that it's sometimes more than just the colors and the different materials. It's just something like the curvature of like a lounge chair that can really alter the look and get to that organic look and feel.
Yeah.
After Organic Modern, actually really close behind it was our Cali Cowboy project.
Yes.
That one was also a complete home furnishing project.
Yes.
So what was the goal with that?
That one was a family that was relocating from California, Santa Barbara, to Southlake. And we furnished their entire new home. And that project was so unique in that the husband was surprising his wife with the home and all the furniture. And so I think he tried to keep it a surprise for as long as he could. And then ultimately she did get brought in on the process. But we got pretty far along before, she started to see some of the things that we were designing and selecting. So it was just such a unique project. And again, in that home, family home, so they had 2 young kids, and we designed their bedrooms as well.
Yeah. And one of that creative space, that one, when we showed the photos of that, I know on social media, that space alone was such a hit because of the wallpaper.
The art nook. Yes. Yeah. And that was like, the client was like, we have this little room upstairs in the house, and it's kind of like, it's like a closet, but it's not really a closet. Like, we don't really know what to do with it. And for their daughter, we turned it into an art nook, just like a super creative space for her to go and do all her crafts and to color. And we used a wallpaper on the walls that looked like paint splatter. And so it just turned out really cute, and she loves it. So.
Yeah. And the kids' rooms, it seems like kids' rooms are what people love to see.
Yes.
Because I've helped with our social media, I see the reaction and the impressions or whatever. And any one of these projects, when we show the photos of the kids' room, that's what gets everyone amped up. They love to see it. They want to know, where do I find that wallpaper? What's that paint color? Like, where's the furniture from? Like, those always seem to be big hits. And it seems that you especially enjoy designing kids' rooms.
Yes.
I've seen that through these projects this year.
Yeah, we've had a lot of kids' rooms this year. Now that you're bringing that up, I guess I haven't thought about it, but yeah, we really have had a lot of kids' rooms, and man, it's been fun. The kids are so fun. They just really get into it, and I think they take a lot of pride in having their own space that's been designed and dedicated just for them, and bringing in their personality and all the fun kid colors, and just making it like a super creative space, leaning into their likes and their dislikes. So yeah, but it's fun, and they're tough though. The kids can be tough. I think it's because they don't hold back. They're just so open and honest about, and they know what they like.
Right.
It's fun.
Well, in addition to those 3 major projects, we also had other projects of a different scope, like our McKinney one.
Yep.
That one, I think what was cool about that was just the inlay that y'all did on the island. That was really cool. I know that that one was also kind of fun from a color palette perspective, a little bit different. Than other things, but talk a little bit about McKinney.
Yeah, so McKinney was a kitchen remodel and a living room, like fireplace built-in remodel, and then we furnished the living room and we furnished the breakfast room off of the kitchen. And it wasn't a full demo, which I think is amazing because it turned out like it looks like a brand new kitchen, but we actually kept all the cabinets except for the island. So the island really was the only big demo. And then we painted all the cabinets. And then like what you said, the wood inlay on the island, that's one of my favorite parts. But then also the vent hood. The vent hood turned out so beautiful, like with the metal detail. And the client really wanted a lot of silvers and blues and whites and grays. And so it really pushed us out of our comfort zone on that project, because typically we work like in the opposite color palettes with the warm tones, the creams, browns, neutrals, golds, everything's real warm. And so it was a stretch, but I think we really pulled it together, and they absolutely loved it. And so that was a really fun challenge, and it turned out great.
Yeah. And then as we kind of look ahead to next year, like I said earlier, this is our last episode for this year. As we start looking ahead, we've already got some projects underway. The Mediterranean Modern with Hunter Gerhardt. Gerhardt Construction. That's been fun. We've been already teasing that on social media, like on Instagram and YouTube. I know the hallway water dispenser.
Yes.
Like, that's a really fun feature. Everyone loved that.
That house is going to be just beautiful. I cannot wait to show photos of that when it's done. I think we're projecting maybe late spring, summer, and then of course there's photos and all that. So it might not be until early fall of next year, which is so sad because we just want to like scream from the rooftops about that project because it is just so beautiful. But yeah, everyone has to wait, including us. So.
What are some of the things that you're doing in there that you're particularly excited about?
I can't say. I'm just kidding. We are doing a lot of plaster, high gloss finishes on the ceilings and on the cabinetry. We are doing metal inlay on the cabinets. And what else are some of the super unique features? A lot of marble, which we don't normally get to do a lot of marble because, as you know, like a lot of our clients have young kids, they're busy, they don't want to deal with the maintenance of marble. But this particular client, yes, they have kids, but they're okay with all the maintenance. And so that's been fun because we've gotten to do marble in like all the main areas.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of specialty finishes that we're doing that's making it really, really special.
That's cool. Yeah. And then again, looking ahead, we have, is it 4 custom home projects that are in very early stages, but are going to be things that will probably be, at least a year from now before we get to them. But they're projects in they're all Argyle.
We have one in Argyle that's like a homestead on acreage. That one's going to be so fun. We have one in Bedford, one in Keller. And then we have another one in Flower Mound. So those are our 4 big custom homes that we'll be working on. And then we still have, the projects that we're working on right now that are custom homes that are going to finish up next year.
Yeah.
So like our big Dallas project, that one will finish up hopefully in the spring. And then one project that we are all super excited about is the Dove Station, the home with Makis, the model. That is going to be so fun. And so that's going to be coming up next year too.
That's going to be a lot of fun to show. As we are looking ahead, what's something that you've learned this year that you're bringing with you into
next year?
Into next year, yeah.
I think one of the things that I have learned is to be just flexible. I think being flexible in I know that sounds like very vague, but being able to pivot, like sometimes things might not be going the way you think they're going to go, but being able to accept those challenges and grow from them, whether that be in our personal life, like with our kids and just, like running from all the different activities, the golf and the gymnastics and then the school board that you're on, and then all the things I'm involved in with the church and the school. Like it's a lot. It can be a lot. And then we have our business too. And so being flexible between those things and being able to pivot when needed. I'm looking forward to bringing that next year. And then also I'm looking forward to being able to just slow down a little bit and enjoy some things more. And, this past year has been a whirlwind. It's been so fast and so furious and just go, 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 which has been great. But I am looking forward to, taking like a quick breath.
Yeah.
Especially as we go into the new year. I'm looking forward to the holidays.
Yeah. Likewise. I think for me, I think one of the things that I learned this year was after I walked away, or not walked away, but resigned from my job and switched careers, basically. For 16 years, I'd kind of been working a certain way, approaching things a certain way. I like to think I was always growth minded, but when the environment looks very similar for 16 years, it was easy to kind of feel very comfortable operating within a certain framework. And I think this year pushed me into learning in different ways, and honestly, like finding different groups that I wasn't really a part of. Like I was working remote, so I didn't have, like, I worked out in the garage. Well, now after I stopped working remote, it's like, I got to get out of the house. I don't want to be in the home office anymore. And so I found a gym, to work out with, a colleague and friend of mine. And then even because of what you started with the South Lake Chamber, getting more involved there. That's been something that I've really enjoyed this past year, is being pushed to learn and face challenges differently. Like I said, the past 16 years were great. There were definitely challenges that I was able to meet through that, but it was a completely different set of challenges once I started working full time with you. And I think finding a way to navigate that and be uncomfortable and overcome that has been one of the things that I've enjoyed about this past year, that I look forward to meeting new challenges in the next year.
Yeah, I think it has been such a year of growth. Like, not only has our business grown so much, but I think you stepping out of your old job and coming into Neighbor and growing in that world, and then you and I having to learn how to work together every single day in the same office and communicate well, that has been a growth too. And I think we've overcome those challenges. And I think going back to what you have said, like putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, like it can be a lot at times. I feel like some weeks we have these meetings like every other day of like, oh, I got to put myself out there again and get into another uncomfortable situation. Right. But we just continue getting put into these opportunities. And so I'm like, well, I guess this is where we're supposed to be. And so it's been a year of learning how to navigate that and just grow in that. And so I'm looking forward to next year. I'm looking forward to our team growing. That's one thing that I think is going to happen next year, is that our team will be growing, and that's very exciting too.
Yeah. Who should we bring on the show next?
Oh my goodness. There's a long list, I think.
Yeah.
You know who I want to bring on the show? I think Lauren. Lauren is one of our designers. Yep. I think that would be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if she's the next one, or the first one of next year, or where we'll go.
Yeah.
But this was fun. It was a great wrap to the year. I'm looking forward to the holidays with you and just enjoying some personal time.
Yep. Happy holidays.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.